Hello everybody. This is going to be a part 2 to yesterday's video. I probably should have disclosed this at the start of the video yesterday, but this is all from like the Marvel Encyclopedia, the new edition. Anyways, so I'd like to get into it. So here's like a whole crew that I think would make a really cool movie idea. Maybe not for everybody, but it'd be probably cool for Canadians to see at least. They're a group called Alpha Flight. It was known as like the Canadian Avengers or X-Men team, basically. And they did try to recruit Wolverine for a while. But their members consist of Shaman, Guardian, Sasquatch, Aurora, Marina, North Star, Puck, and Snowbird. Their first ever appearance was back in 1979 in the X-Men issues. The next one I think would be really cool to see is American Eagle. He's from the Navajo people. And before he even got his powers, he went toe-to-toe with Claw, and that's how he ended up getting his powers. And his whole life, assassins, known as Bullseye. His first ever appearance was back in 1981 in the Marvel 2-in-1 annual edition. If you're not into comic books, you wouldn't really get that. The next one is a Voodoo Priest. His name's Brother Voodoo. I think he'd be pretty cool to see. His first appearance back in 1973. And he's part of he's an ex-Haitian slave. But he is has a lot to do with the Haitian mob. Much as he is kind of like a neutral evil, he is still neutral evil. Next, I want to shine light on another group. This group's called the Daughters of Liberty. And their members consisted of Peggy Carter, Spider-Woman, Sharon Carter, Mockingbird, White Tiger, Misty Knight, Invisible Woman, Agatha Harkness, Black Widow, and Iron Patriot. I think that'd be a sick crew to see. Another pretty cool character is Dr. Spectrum. So his first ever appearance was back in 1971. And basically the idea is that he can fly, he has super strength, and that he's got this beam kind of like... He doesn't have a ring like Lantern, but the powers are kind of the same. Not that he can create things, but he can make anything that's not attached to the ring, but he can also push power, cool spectrum beams out of it. I think it'd be a really cool character that they could probably work with. It's a cool concept anyways. The next cool character I'd like to talk about is Phantom X. So his first appearance was all the way back in 2002, so he's relatively a new character. He was roughly around when I was born. So, he was raised in the underworld, so he is a criminal, but I'm just saying, look him up and look at his outfit. Tell me that wouldn't be fucking sick to see him go against the Punisher. This next one I'm going to get into detail because technically he has seen some screen time, but nobody actually has seen or heard about his original side unless you've actually been in the comics, which is not many people these days. So you've heard of Jessica Jones, but have you heard of Rick Jones? There's no connection, but as a teenager, Rick snuck into the military test site where Bruce Banner had gotten his powers and dared Bruce Banner to go in there, which Bruce Banner did, and which caused a blast that got Bruce Banner the whole, rah, 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 you won't like me when I'm angry kind of ordeal. So, basically, when Hulk started first going crazy before they really had a rope on him or had him in the crew or had him in the fold, Rick Jones was actually a person that went and worked with Captain America and trained and actually became Captain America's right-hand man for a long period of time, even outside of this. But he helped them track down the Hulk and calm him down and get him back into a working order. And after his time and stint with Captain America was done, he went to go work with Mar-Vell, Captain Mar-Vell. Not to be confused with Captain Marvel, it's Marvee. Or Vell, and to which they're the ones that actually end the Kree War, the whole Kree Skull War. I think he's a really cool character, but anyways, eventually down the line, he is the character that gets turned into A-Bomb, which is the Blue Hulk, out of the crew, and I think it would be really cool to get to see his backstory before actually getting to see him come out. Another character I'd like to get into detail in, because I think she's a really cool female character that would go toe-to-toe with Emma Frost. Her name is M. Her real name's Monty St. Croix, and her first appearance was back in September of 1994. But her superpowers are where she gets pretty interesting. She has her hero. She has. Well, she is able to go into a somewhat similar kind of idea, except red. So like a ruby form. The next character that I think is pretty cool, it's basically like the Marvel, there's going to be a few of them here, so like I won't say they're exactly the Marvel version of Cyborg, but there's quite a few characters that are like revolve around machines. So here's quite a few that I think that would be really cool for them to actually put into like work. There's actually the Machine Teen. See, he doesn't actually go on to do any like real superhero work, but he worked along great fucking doctors inside of the Marvel industry, like Dr. Aaron, and he also worked with Dr. Isaac. He was working for Radcliffe Corporation for a little bit, and then he eventually joined Avengers Academy, which is something we have not seen yet. We've seen the X-Men Academy, but we have not seen the Avengers Academy, which would be a really cool concept, I think. Next is Machine Man. It is not an upgraded version of Machine Teen. This is a completely different character in himself. Machine Man was an escaped X-55 prototype. Long story short, his owner that made him didn't feel the company was going to use him properly, so they helped him escape. But, long story short, he does actually see several fighting, although he does not really fight alongside any major groups for that long of a period. Like, he does see X-Men, Hulk, Fantastic Four, and the Avengers, and Next Wave Heat. He's more commonly known for his time traveling, to which he does fall in love with this like little robot, and I think it'd be like a really cool and kind of funny concept, because if you've ever watched the old Star Trek with Data, like, he's very much like a Data. He's very comfortable that he's a robot and doesn't really care who else doesn't like it. Machine Smith is another really cool one. His real name's Samuel Starr Saxon. And he was a robot builder and inventor, but when one of his inventions killed him, he ended up being able to transfer his his consciousness into this robot. So that way that he was able to fight crime, stuff like that. He was eventually brought in to work with S.H.I.E.L.D., but then he ended up having conflict with them later down the road. But it's just because he's not really one of those dudes that's really causing crime, but he will steal if it betters his own means, if that makes sense. Here's another cool one for like the old-fashioned Old West times, although I don't really think, well, yeah, he is kind of an Old West kind of dude, but like, look him up online. His outfit is fucking immaculate, I'm telling you. I wish I would have used it at the start for one of the photos at the start. But his name's the Spirit of 76. And his first ever appearance was back in 1977. Coincidence. But he's inspired off Captain America's World War II kind of exploits. But he's like a completely different dude. He's from Philadelphia and stuff like that. But like, his superpowers are actually kind of weird. They're only like, he's a top level athlete, and he's a formidable hand-to-hand combatant. He's worn a bulletproof cape. Like, he's basically like the Batman if Batman wore really, really light colors like he did in the 60s. Like, it is actually kind of humorous. But, he ended up fighting with, like, people like Captain Britain and Captain America himself. He was fighting during, like, the World War II times and stuff like that. Like, he's definitely got a background, like, I'm surprised in the cutscene they didn't decide to show him for a second, considering there were other characters during the time of Captain America, yet they make it seem like he was the only one. Anyways, thank you everybody. That was like the final video that I'm going to do on this. We're going to be back to the normal schedule and stuff like that. I just wanted to do this, and to be fair, superheroes are kind of theoretical. It's a cool philosophical topic to think about. What would you do if you had superpowers? So this is more or less just me kind of expanding on one of my interests with this. So I hope you guys like and subscribe, and peace.